welcome to your mid-morning Wednesday lesson. We would call this a pop-up lesson. So we had our Chord Academy this morning, and we're just ending a couple weeks where I was kind of promoting just the new course for the beginner's course. So thank you to everybody who has taken me up on that. Right now we're going to be working out of 20 tips for 5-minute practice success, and I woke up this morning early to somebody that got the 20 tips course, which I'm very excited about, and it kind of made me think about how much I love this course. And so I'm going to show you two specific things. The first one is this idea of the walking bass. This is the jazz part. This 20 tips for 5-minute practice success is blues, jazz, Ray Charles, all kinds of things, and it's mostly 2-measure phrases, and everything from walking bass to soloing to all kinds of things to kind of help you get some direction and focus in when you have just 5 minutes or so to practice, or at least a short amount of time. So the two things we're going to do are all on one page. I'll actually pull up the page and even show you a little bit about the course. We're going to dig in first, and as you can see here, there's the link to the whole course, and then you have all the different things that's in the course. We start off with some very simple diatonic patterns, quickly get into minor pentatonic, blues scale, and then we start getting into licks and important things to learn, and then we get into Ray Charles. I think this course is 66 minutes long. It's very detailed, but we're going to actually deal with just a few of the last page examples. So we're going to do some Ray Charles licks. I'm going to show you how to finger those, and also how you can use those over a blues. You can also start on the 5th, but which is the original. But then we're going to do this little walking bass line, which is a nice way to get that left hand going. And you can actually put in some right hand ideas from the chorus where you do. So you're practicing walking and comping and also soloing, right? So then you can do even some Ray Charles stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in. Let me pull back up the chat. If somebody wants to say hello like Jeffrey did, make sure you say hello in the chat. Jeffrey, what is up? Good to see you, man. So let me make sure you guys can see what I'm looking at. I can't tell if you guys, I was just giving you guys a tour, and I don't think it was the right window that was up. But let me just double check that really quickly. So, yeah, I guess it was. I guess it was the right one. Okay, we're on the right page. Okay, so the very last page deals with this, and Jeffrey, so always good to see you. I can always count on you to show up. All right, so here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is this walking bass. So in order to learn how to spell chords, like this is F-A-C-E, this is a D minor 9, a really beautiful chord. And how do you come up with that? It's good to know that when you're learning about spelling chords, you do, like D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So there are what we call formulas, spelling chords left to right. I would say the flat 3 of D major, the 5, the flat 7, and the 9. The reason we call that as a 9 is because we had the flat 7, we're adding notes on top. Now, if this is more of the beginner side, if you're just getting into chords, that's okay. You can think F-A-C-E, all white notes on the piano, or the D in the bass. That gets you the same results, but I want you to not only be able to play the chords, but I want you to know your theory. Whenever we're learning about spelling chords, this is really important. You have to know that key signature. So the key of D has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. And so I know my D major scale. So when I rattle out the formula and I say flat 3 of the D major scale, that's the flat 3. Normally D major has an F sharp, so flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9. And then when I lower my middle finger, I get to a G13. Now, that's really easy to go from this chord to this chord, right? But I also want you to be able to know about the formula here. It's flat 7 of a G scale. G major has 1 sharp, F sharp. But if you flat that, remember we're spelling chords left to right, flat 7, 9, 3, and 13. So I have these 2 chords, right? And the pattern, and this is in our 20 tips course, you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, our finger numbers, and I always like to write out the finger numbers for you guys. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We start on D, go up a whole step, and then chromatically up to that G. So it's a 2 chord. The most common progression in jazz is 2-5. You'll use it all the time. So it's really important to get these kinds of bass lines under your fingers. Now, as we're going through this, it won't be a very long lesson. I'll probably go maybe 15 or 20 minutes, but I want to cover this in detail. I have 2 different bass lines to show you, some really fantastic chords, and then we're going to talk about this little Ray Charles idea, which is at the top of the page. It comes right out of the What I'd Say song. So the bass line is like this, and so the lick would be, and then it does the slide down. But also you can use that on the third, where you could play the bass line. Okay, but the original starts on the 5th. But I like to use it even in a blues scenario. So we have quarter note blues. Even if I'm walking this bass line, awesome. You just enjoyed Fat Tuesday last night? Very good, Jeffrey. Awesome. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we have the formula from a D9, a D minor 9. You're going to go flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, and walk it up, and then you just lower your middle finger down a half step. That gets you G13. Now, if you have more experience, if you're a beginner, I want you to just use the fingering I have here and follow this up, and you go octave, 5th, octave. I teach all my students, especially my intermediate players, the importance of this 5, 2, 1. You get that 5th in there, right? So it's like from G, that's the octave, and that's the 5th. Get used to that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have more experience, take it up a half step. Same formula. I had to change my fingering just a little bit. I did 3, 2, 1. If I go up another half step, I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If I go up another half step, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 and 3. And I'll go one more up. I'll go up to F sharp. 3, 2, 1. So let's talk about a couple of things you're doing here. You're building up tons of muscle memory. When I do this right here, and I go up to a different, or if I go to a different key, it's the same muscle memory. I just have to know that those particular keys and key signatures. The only thing that we need to make sure that we do is, I always say that you're a couple of fingerings away from doing all 12 keys. Like for instance, if I do the first key, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if I go up a half step, it's going to be hard to play 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to change my finger, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1. I do have a classical background, and so I think one of the things I've always wanted to do is to have really good finger habits, which when we make the transition to Ray Charles, you'll hear a little quick story about why that was difficult for me to think about sliding my 3rd down to the 3rd, or even on that 5th as well. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. If you're more the beginner, just get this going right here. We just had our Chord Academy lesson for one of the lessons for this week, and you can still get in on Chord Academy. We're still in that introductory thing, so if you have any questions about any of that, just email me, bob@iMusicAcademy.com. But the reason I mention that is because in Chord Academy, not only do I give you the voicings, but I always want to make sure that you have context on what we're doing. So as you learn something like this, you're learning 2-5, the most common progression in jazz. So if I'm playing a standard, like if I was playing Take the A Train, and that's my melody, if I'm walking the bass and I go, ba, ba, da, 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 da. So notice that I did the bass line, and I can even solo over that, or I could play the melody. I could go 1, 6. Let's do that again. 5, 4, 3. So I've got my muscle memory built up, so I can even have conversation with you guys while I'm playing this, because I've done it so much that we can just put this on a loop, right? Practicing hands separate is such a good thing. You build up that muscle memory, so then even when you change key, it's the same kind of formula, just on different notes, even G minor. Okay, so the next thing is, remember that I could either play the chord or I could do blues scale. I could go. Again, so we talked about context this morning. When you're playing the blues, you have your first 5 notes of the blues scale, which is going to sound fantastic. But also the sort of cheat code that if I go down 3 half steps, now I'm in the A blues scale, first 4 notes. If I'm playing a jazz standard like Take the A Train, and I get to that part sort of at the end of the A section, I like that to hear a little bluesy sound. One good little cheat code is to get down to that A minor. The A minor sounds so good over the whole thing, and especially these first 4 notes and getting that minor third in. So if I go, I could go, right? Let me do that again. So I'm at this part. Maybe I'm improvising. I go, or I could go up to the minor third to major third. One more time. Okay, now let's keep going. So we just did 2, 5. And again, if you have more experience, you can do something like this. Up a half step. A lot slower though. Three, 2, 1. 5, 4. 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4. Maybe go down the octave so I'm not so high up. And then we're back at home. Oh, Vicky, thank you so much I see you have a little dancing person. Yeah, I have my new software that says if anybody wants to donate, you can do that and support the stream. So thank you for that, Vicky. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And you got a nice little dancing thing. Awesome. Hey, awesome. Lewis, thank you so much for hanging out. You are welcome, as always. Thank you for always tuning in, Lewis. So good to see you. Vicky, thank you so much for that. Also, Vicky not only is she a member of our academies, but she has also joined our little public membership. So something I always wanted to start once I got to 16,000, and we did that. We have 4 members already, and there are a bunch of different tiers. I've actually been giving away tons of gifts for people who have joined the YouTube the YouTube membership. So I didn't even realize you could do this, but since I created that, I put all kinds of PDFs, and I'm like, try this. I've invited people to private streams where we do a lot of training and things. So anyway, if anyone is interested in that, just look at there's a join link, and if you want to join. But my thing is, don't just join and then cancel. If you really want to join to support the stream, go for it, and I promise you really will enjoy it. And right off the bat, you'll see what you get. There's an entire shapes course in there that I give as just a gift. So, but I want to connect with you guys, and I really want you to practice. Like Lewis has been hanging out. He's not a member of anything, but Lewis has been super consistent and hanging out, and I want you guys to practice, and I have a feeling that Lewis is practicing this stuff. Okay, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you again, Vicky. That's really nice. And I like your little dancing figure you got there for supporting the stream. All right, right there. And then watch this. Let's go ahead and do the other bass line. Now, this is a little more sophisticated, but it's really cool. So what we're doing is C major 9, so 3, 5, 7, 9 of the C major scale. And I'm doing this bass line right here. So let's talk about 1, 6, 2, 5. If I'm in the key of C and I say, what's the 1 chord? You're going to say C. If I say, what's the 6 chord? You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So C up to A. And then D to G, C, A, D, G. So if somebody says, let's play a 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of C, you're going to say, all right, root is C, up to A, which is the 6th chord, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 2 chord is going to be D minor, and the 5 chord is going to be G. So here's your bass line, just without the half steps. Right? You hear this all the time in music. And then from a jazz perspective, this is a really cool thing to do, is to approach the notes by a half step. So my target note is A, but I'm going to go boom, ba, dum. It's a lot of tension, but it's a really nice tension. And then I go to the tritone of that, and we'll talk more about that later, but it's basically the sharp 4 away from A, which is D, and you go sharp. And it creates a nice little half step movement. And from D, I go a tritone away, which is the sharp 4 away, but just remember that it's a half step above where we're going, and then we go to the G. So it's like this. And my fingering is so important. Even if you don't understand the theory right now, you will get it over time, especially if you dig into the courses and just the trainings that I like to do. But this is the fingering. 5, 2, 1, 4, 5, 2, 1, 4, 5, 2, 1, 4, 5, 2. Same fingering over and over. 5, 2, 1. And what I want you to do is put these chords with it. So let's say that you learned that bass line right there, and then you're playing Take the A Train. It's just one example of one song. And I go, watch this. This is my turnaround. That helps me get back to the top of the form where I play this again. So the only way I can do that, or the reason I can do that, is because we're building up muscle memory. This kind of thing. So if I was in the key of F, I'm going to do the same thing. So it doesn't matter the key. I'm doing the same kind of muscle memory, so that whenever it's time to play a bass line, I really don't even have to think about the left hand as we're walking. Even this right here. Like you're learning, building up muscle memory, and then you learn how to do other bass lines like this. I could go, instead of walking it up like there, I could do D minor, I could go. Let me do that again with the same chords in the right hand. Right, so I just played it a couple different ways. I went D minor. And I could do that root 5 root again, or root 5 root. I could go, or I could go, or I could go, or I could go. Oh, sorry. I did da ba da. So. So you just one at a time, you're building up muscle memory, and I want you guys to do this one this week. And if you need help with the fingering and all the other keys, let me know. Okay, so in the right hand, we did C major 9, so from a C scale, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then you have the flat 7, flat 9, 3, and sharp 5. Some people will call that the flat 13, but I'm just going to call it a sharp 5. I like the sound of a flat 9, sharp 5. So that's for an A7. What a beautiful chord that is, right? You have this, and then D minor 9. To flat 9, G13 with a flat 9. Now that's a really fun chord, which you can use the diminished scale if you want to play over that. Okay, so let's just do this again. Now it's written in half notes. It's written like this: 6, 2, 5. And I want you to practice that, but then you start to do where you practice rhythms like ba ba. Let's do it again. Ba da. Let's change it up. Let's go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. That's a little more sophisticated, isn't it? I kind of like that one. That time I went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let's stick with that one for a minute. Okay, now we have one more thing we're going to do. I said I was going to go for 15 minutes. I think I've already gone for 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this course, but let's go ahead and go up to the top of this. Make sure I can see this. The top of this has the Ray Charles thing. And as I mentioned before, this comes from the What I'd Say song, and the bass line is actually like this. And the original lick, although it's in the key of E, we're going to do it in the key of C, is this. But let's talk about the fingering here. So when I first learned how to play that, I was thinking, man, I just don't know if I feel comfortable. One, I used to not slide 2 to 2, and especially the third finger of sliding like from F sharp down to F felt very foreign. This idea of so what I decided is, it's usually on the 5th, so it's usually here. But I also know that you can start things minor third to major third, especially over a blues. So let's do this with the quarter notes, which is right out of this particular course. It's a simple way of playing this bass line instead of this, which sounds amazing. We have all kinds of Ray Charles trainings, but this is just this root 5th to root 6. And you could use it on the 5th. You could go, let's just say I'm playing a regular blues. I'm doing maybe Blues Volume 1, just the very first lick. Over F. So the first time this idea, when I first started piano, the thought of doing like 4/3 is probably what I would have done, but you can't get the sound you're looking for. And so I had to come up with what we call a down home fingering, like just this idea of something that may not feel like it works, but it's to get the sound. And you can do that especially on the minor third down to the D note. Listen to this. Of course, that's all written out, and I always like to include the fingerings. And so what I did is I wrote it out for starting on the 3rd or on the 5th. But here's what I want you to do. Here's how you're going to practice this. Let's start it on the 5th first. I use the F, and I go F with a thumb, and I go F sharp to G. My target note is G. And then I'm going to go right out of the blues scale, right? The blues scale has my C, E flat, F, F sharp, G, and B flat. And I'm going to go, right? So practice it like this. Like practice 1, 2. You may not get it right away. It may take you a week. It may take you a month. But once you get it, you're going to really love to be able to play with that second finger grace note where you just slide up to that G. And then you're going to give me 4, 5, and on the way down, you're going to go F sharp down to F. And get used to your third finger going from F sharp to F. And come down to that blues scale, right? Okay, also on the 3rd, and here's a great fun little idea, is that, minor third, we were talking about this yesterday in the academy, is like we can play the blues scale all day long. We can do all the shapes that go the minor third and do all these fun little tricks, but occasionally we want to hear that major third, right? If I just did this all day long, it's going to get old after a while, and I want to hear, right? Or you could go, that minor third to major third sounds so good. And then if you take the idea of the Ray Charles fingering, where you kind of, I say it's Ray Charles, I don't know which fingering he used, but I would imagine it's something like this, because it just takes that nice little 2 to 2 is such a nice thing. You could go 3 to 3, but that just feels so good there to do that. And then on the way back down, that 3 to 3 is so important. So I have this. And I go to F chord. Okay, let's keep going. A couple more things. And all I was doing there was just Blues Volume 1, little licks like this right here, right out of Blues Volume 1, and even this one right here. I think that's out of the first one in Blues Volume 2. But the reason I'm showing you those is like it's so important to learn even simple licks like this: minor third to major third, F in second inversion, get up into the keys for C7. And the reason I'm telling you that is because this motion, when I go to F, is the same exact motion. Go to G, it's the same exact motion. So even for this one little lick, I'm building up muscle memory. And the nice thing about that minor third to major third sound is that if I go to from C, and then I'm just sliding off of that minor third to major third. When I go to F, I can do the slide minor third to major third. It's going to sound great, even over G. Here's Ray Charles. Okay, now we have one more thing we're going to do is I want to tell you guys how to do some of this practicing. So what I love about this course is this is a really in-depth course. When I've been thinking of, I've been telling people, oh, the shapes course is one of my favorites, and it is. So is the 50 Days to Flying Fingers. When I think about the different courses I've created, I haven't done it just to I don't create courses to just try to sell stuff and everything. I really love teaching, and I love showing you guys things. And when I'm creating courses, often I'm also trying to do things that it's going to help me practice as well. And it really has. So this is it takes you to the full course, and you have all these different things you can use, especially if you just have a little amount of time to practice. For instance, you have blues scale shapes like this shape right here. So I'm going to give you a couple of just rapid fire things that you can do from this course. So nobody has to buy anything. If you don't want to get the course, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to show you tips that you can use. I would ask you if you like the video for sure. I do have several different ways that you can support the channel if you want to do that. This streaming thing I'm doing now through Streamlabs is you can give donations, and you can, it puts your name up and a little dancing figure apparently. I also have where I just launched the YouTube public, the membership. So it's all private videos. I put the shapes course in there and a bunch of PDFs. We already have 4 members. We just started it, and you get a cool little badge like Vicky, who is a part of the new membership on YouTube. And it's kind of like a little loyalty badge, which is kind of cool. So I'm very excited about that. Just hit join. You can see the different levels you can join. And I would appreciate that. But the other thing is I do have 2 academies. I have the All Access Academy, and I have the Chord Academy. And if you want to be a part of either of those, just email me, bob@iMusicAcademy.com. I'm never the kind of person that's sell, sell, sell. I'm just providing these resources, working really hard to try to help you practice and get better. And I promise you that is one of my goals. And I love connecting with you guys. Like Jeffrey is always here. I'm thankful for Jeffrey and Vicky and Lewis, and you guys are amazing. So thank you for those of you who are able to support and help out the channel. There are lots of new opportunities to do that. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to give you a couple quick tips from this course, another one of my favorite courses, 20 tips for 5-minute practice success, and then we're going to sign off. And if you're just now joining us, go back and watch this video because I think it has some really helpful things. Okay, so as I'm looking through this, the first thing, it just talks about, and there's literally is a 66, I think, minute video. There are play-along tracks, all kinds of things. But it's like the first 5 notes of the major scale. And then you take it and you say, even that turns it around, doesn't it? And that's even a kind of a famous jazz, like first 5 notes of the blues scale. You really want to get your fingers going. And I always try to get my students working on 5-note blues scale patterns. We talk about that all the time. There's minor pentatonic, and then it gets into this part right here, which is literally Blues Volume 1, Example 1. If you only had 5 minutes to practice, that's not a bad one. I have students that literally warm up with that, and also there are only a couple different fingerings you have to know. When you're sliding from black note to white note, you gotta just slide off. But if you're hammering on, you don't have that black note to slide onto. You have to hammer on. So you use fingers 2, 3, and 5. So then C is a slide key, D flat a hammer on, D is a hammer on. Okay, so that kind of thing. And I do this kind of training. This is like just a flyover of what to expect in this particular course. But I'm trying to give you guys a couple things that may inspire you to practice. So the next thing is this. If you're ever not feeling bluesy, start on that flat 7. I could, if I'm doing a C blues and I could go to the major third, or I can go to the minor third. Okay, then we have the A blues scale and the importance of that, and the major third. Also, a little jazzy idea. And then this idea of just little blues things. Okay, then it goes here. This is a really great exercise to practice. It's not an exercise, it's really a lick. So the C6 lick, it takes the 1, the 3, the 5, the 6 of the scale, and it does the minor to major third. I think I originally first heard that from maybe Red Garland in one of his songs. It's a really slow blues, really awesome. But then you have to remember that idea. Sometimes you're sliding on black notes to white notes to get to that minor third and major third. Sometimes you have to get up into the keys and hammer on the minor third to major third. Hammer on, slide, hammer on. Okay, so now let's keep going down here and show you a couple more things. This bass line for the Ray Charles things. Oh, and then this is sort of what I call bonus material that I put in the course, and that is this. One of our tunes, Dave's Leaving on a Plane, is from one of our students. I always make songs for my students, and this has been one of the most famous ones. So I have a solo version of Dave's Leaving on a Plane, which is a really cool story. We were doing a student stream several years ago, and my student Dave was on the tarmac about to take off to go on a golf trip, and I wrote Dave's Leaving on a Plane and put words and everything. But the main thing about this song, it's really nice, but it's all pentatonic. Da 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 da. Dave's leaving on a plane. All pentatonic, and it has a nice little walking bass and turnaround. But then it's the trio version. So at iMusicAcademy, all the time we're using 3, flat 7, 9 from a trio perspective, right? Use these left-hand voicings that sound great for when you're doing your soloing and your melodies up here. So that's C9 goes to F13, goes to C9, and then you have your G13. So that's the trio version. Pentatonic shapes talks about the cells, like 4-note cells, like the top half of the blues scale. Pentatonic. Even when I go to F. Okay, and then we come down here and we have this. That whole thing is an etude. All right. Let me go back to the top of this. And then there's your entire course. So whatever you want to go, like let's say you're going to work on let's just say enclosure with a third, and I just click on it and it'll take you right there. Let's keep going. So measure 13, we have this. which comes right out of the thing that we just did of da 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 da. This is just a slight variation. So there you go. So that's the way the course works. Every PDF and course that I create has an interactive PDF. That means you get it, then you click on it, and it has links to get you to everything in the course. All right, that's enough craziness. That was a fun little stream. If you've enjoyed this, I would love for you to like this video. If you want to look at some of the resources, I would encourage you to go to iMusicAcademy.com. I see we have already 9 people have said that they liked it, which is really cool. And again, thank you for the donations that are starting to come in. It's been a little, we just started. And thank you to the 4 people that have signed up to my new venture on YouTube. It's a YouTube membership where you get a bunch of free stuff and a fun little community we are building. You get a cool little loyalty badge. I did put the Shapes course, which I want to say is a $30 course in my store, but just by signing up, that's one of the little things you get right away. But please, my only thing is I haven't had anybody cancel yet, but I'm just saying, if you want to support the channel in that way, there are several different tiers where you can sign up. So hit that join thing and just take a look around. If you have any questions, let me know. But anyway, all right. So I always like to give shout outs to the people who have hung out with me. Jeffrey, good to see you on. I can always count on you to be here. Vicky, thank you so much for your donation and for being a part of this new venture. Lewis, good to see you. I always love it when you tune in, and thanks so much. All right, guys, have a great one. Go practice and have fun. Thank you, Jeffrey. See you in the next one.